This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is UFC flyweight Gillian Robertson, who is currently 7-3. Thanks for coming on. How's it going?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Doing great today. Just getting into camp. I think we're 5-6 weeks out now, so it's getting close.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you were born in Canada, so how'd you get involved in mixed martial arts at the very beginning?
Honestly, I have no idea. When I first started, I started with a cardio kickboxing class in Port St. Lucie, Florida, at Dean Thomas's gym. And I don't really know what drove me to it. For some reason, when I was 16, I just wanted to try kickboxing. I just had it in my mind that was a thing. So I went and I tried the kickboxing class at his gym, and obviously I just kind of found the right place because I'm still with the same coach to this day. Dean's still cornering me in the UFC, but I don't really know how I got into it. I just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, what about, like, growing up, did you play any other sports?
No, I always joke with my coach, I'm the least athletic, the least athletic professional athlete that I know, because I've never played a sport in my life, really. Like, growing up, I volunteered with animals a lot. So I volunteered at the Humane Society, or at a horse rescue, or at a wildlife rescue. And, my parents put me in soccer, they put me in gymnastics, but I dropped out, in a couple months because I just didn't like it. I was never athletic.
Gotcha. That's pretty funny. I know you told me before this interview that you only lived in Canada until you were 7 years old. But is there anything that you miss about living in Canada?
I absolutely love it up there. Even though I only lived there until I was 7, it still feels like home to me. So it's like my grandparents are up there, and just going up and visiting, seeing the falls. I love everything about it.
And you train at America Top Team in Florida. So what's that been like? Because I know it's one of the top gyms in America.
Oh, it's an absolutely crazy experience being able to train at a place like American Top Team. We have literally all the best females in the world, and a huge group of 125-pound guys as well that are fighting at the highest level. Mm-hmm. It's like when I was growing up, like I said, I started at a small gym at Port St. Lucie, and that gym, we didn't have all the training partners. We didn't have a group of 10 to 15 girls or 125-pound guys. All we had was heavyweight guys for me to work with. So it's you end up working with everybody in the room, and it's nice to have bodies that are your size, and you get more of a similar look as to what you'll see in a fight.
Gotcha. And going into your first amateur fight, what was that like?
There's no real way to describe that feeling. Walking into the cage for the first time, it's an absolutely insane rush, and I guess you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. But walking out of the cage, I just remember the second I walked out, I was I want to do that again. I want to get back in there again, just as quick as possible. It was just so much fun. You literally remember nothing walking out. There's just so much adrenaline. Every moment goes by so fast. But it's such a rush. There's nothing I love more than that.
Yeah. So you went 8-1 as an amateur. So I mean, would you go on you're on a crazy win streak at the end. Was that the decision? What was the decision for you turning pro?
I just listened to my coach whenever he said I was ready. I was ready. I'm so thankful that I had so many amateur fights. I feel like having that experience has put me in a good place coming into the UFC. I got signed when I was 3-2, but obviously I had so much amateur experience. I feel like I was still at the level of the girls that I was surrounded by. And obviously I've proven that since I've gotten to the UFC, gotten 4 finishes. But it's just whenever my coach Dean Thomas said I was ready, I've always listened to him. I started in Florida. You can't fight until you're 18 years old, so I had my first amateur fight when I was 18, and then I believe I turned pro just before my 21st birthday.
Gotcha. And what do you think the biggest difference been from amateurs to the pros?
Honestly, not a lot. Going from the amateur amateur scene to the low-level pro scene, there's really not a huge difference. You're still fighting on, like, the same kind of level shows. You're not getting paid a lot of money, so you're still probably working a part-time job. And it's like my first couple fights I was getting paid 500, 500, 600, 600. I think I got 4 and 4 once too. It's like you can't live off that money. So the difference from being an amateur to a low level pro is a lot. But once I made it to the UFC, then that's when the changes started happening.
Yeah, definitely. What about? I know your first fight was a loss. Was that like? How did that take like pressure off you taking the first loss, like in a positive way? I guess you could spin it.
Yeah, no, because honestly, it's like obviously I had 2 losses when I came into the UFC, but my first loss was a close decision, and it's like I knew that it was a really close fight. It could have went either way. My second loss, it was against Simbica Vea. I took the fight on 5 days' notice. So it's like I kind of had excuses for myself in those losses a little bit. So I feel like my first real loss that hit me hard was whenever I got finished. First in the Tough House, then in but that one it still didn't go on my record. Yeah. And then whenever I got finished for my 1 UFC loss, that was the hardest loss I've ever taken in my life. So it's like the first 2, I was upset, but it's like they were still close fights. They were or I took that fight on 5 days' notice. So it's like I still had justifiable reasons, but this when I took my first loss in the UFC, that's the hardest loss I've ever taken, and I tried to get over it so much, but every single morning when I woke up, me tapping was the first thing I thought of in the morning. That shit just haunts you, you know?
Yeah. And how'd you get casted for The Ultimate Fighter?
They had tryouts. They actually had tryouts. It was supposed to be for 115 and 135, and then last minute they decided to change it to 125, which was perfect for me because I was just getting to the point where I couldn't make 115 anymore. All my fights outside of the UFC are at 115, so this was the point where it's like I really couldn't do that anymore. They decided to have the 125. I auditioned for it, and I guess they liked me, so they decided to pick me and use me for the show.
Gotcha. Besides, like, the actual, like, fighting, did they, like, interview you to see, like, if you had, like, a good personality and stuff like that, too?
Oh, yeah, they do. Literally, I feel like it's based more on personality than it is skills with the Ultimate Fighter, almost. They do about, I think, like, 2 minutes pad work, and then they watch you grapple for 2 minutes. So they can really get, like, minimal skill level off of that. And, then after those 2 minutes, they make their first cuts, and then you go to the interview rooms, and then they make more cuts after the interviews, and then after that, they'll keep people there all week. So they're going to keep just like the last cut, really, and then they're going to cut a little bit more after that. But it's based off of interviews the last 2 times. It's nothing to do with skill after that. All they do is watch you train for 4 minutes, and that's the skill they watch.
Yeah, that's crazy, but I mean, that's definitely seems like realistic just because obviously they want the show to be like drama filled and stuff like that to get people watching. And going back to like the Ultimate Fighter, when you're on the finale, like, so that's like a UFC event, was that like a different feeling when you were fighting for the UFC, like your first UFC fight?
Yes and no. I feel like being on the Ultimate Fighter finale kind of took the pressure of like the first UFC fight away from me. Whenever I fought Molly McCann in Liverpool, that almost felt like more like the real first UFC fight because going into the finale, it's like you don't have your fight kit. You're still in the team show fight kit, so you still don't have like your official fight kit with your name on it. You don't. I was fighting Emily Whitmire, who we shared the same bunk bed for 6 weeks. So it's like you're fighting someone who's your friend. So it's almost like it brings like that kind of gym feeling to it, that kind of comfort, makes it almost easier. So I really didn't. I feel like the fact that my UFC debut was with the Tough House, I feel like it just took a lot of pressure off me.
Gotcha. And then after that fight, was that when UFC signed you?
Yeah, technically that was my first UFC fight. So I was signed before that. Okay. I signed my 6-fight contract before that fight.
Gotcha.
But Yeah, so after that, then I think I've been on too long of a leave schedule, so I've been fighting about every 6 months since then. But thankfully, this one came sooner than that.
Yeah, see, you like to stay active.
Oh yeah, I like to be in there as often as possible. Like, this is all I do. This is all I spend my time doing. So the more I can get in there, the better.
Yeah, you think it's like, I mean, you were only basically 1 year into your pro career and you already signed with the UFC. Like, do you think that was like surreal?
Oh, it's still surreal to me. It doesn't feel real that, like, this is literally my job. This is what I get to do for a living, that I get to go out there and fight and do exactly what I love. And yeah, every single time I go to fight, every single time I'm putting on that fight kit, it just feels 100% surreal to me.
Can you take me through like what one of your camps is like and what it's like to cut weight?
Typically, I'm training year-round, so I'll be training 2 to 3 times a day when I'm out of camp, and then 3 to 4 times a day when I'm in camp. And so it's really a lot of drilling more than anything. I feel like I thrive technically, so I'm not necessarily like a very strong or explosive fighter, but I'm someone who is going to out-technique people. So I just focus a lot on drilling technique, getting in, like Dean Thomas, he'll game plan for me. So we look at what we want to do for this next fight, and then I just drill it into my head, and I'll just do the same thing over and over and over, and it's boring and repetitive, but it wins me fights.
And what keeps you motivated during like camp?
Honestly, I feel like out of camp is harder to stay motivated than in camp, because the second I get an opponent's name, then I have a focus. I have someone that every single night I'm thinking about. I have a goal that I want to hit. I have something that I'm driving towards. But when I'm out of camp, that's when it's like it gets hard to stay focused. It gets hard to want to train 2 to 3 times a day because you don't have that next target yet. You don't have that next focus. So that's, I feel like, another reason why I like to stay active as possible.
Definitely makes sense right there. And you got a fight coming up October 18th versus Maycee Barber in Boston. How do you see that fight playing out?
I feel like no matter what, I have the same game plan for every single one of my fights. I'm going in there, and it's just a race to get to the back, see how fast I can get there. So I'm going to go in there, take her down, and I'm always hunting for the back, and if I get the TKO before that, then that's what happens.
So like when you go into a fight, are you always thinking like you want to get the finish?
Oh, 100%. I get paid the same if I'm in there for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. So I'm trying to get in and out of there as quick as possible, take as little damage as possible, and try to get back in there.
Definitely. And going to like the pay gap between the men and the women in the UFC, I've been seeing a lot of things in boxing too, and going back and forth. So what's your take on it?
I feel like it's less. Honestly, I feel like it's less prominent in the UFC as it is in other sports. I feel like in boxing it is definitely, in any other sport that you look at, it's definitely a lot more prominent. And I feel like they separate the men's and women's divisions a lot more. Where in the UFC, really, if you have that star power, you have the potential to make that money. You have, like, you see Ronda Rousey, she was getting paid more than a lot of the men, and it's just because she had that star power. And I feel like if you have that, you have the skill, you have the ability to talk in front of the camera, then you have the ability to get paid. It's not like there's a UFC and a WUFC, like there's the NBA and WNBA. It's just the UFC.
Gotcha. Good points. And what advice would you give to like a young up and coming fighter?
No matter what, you got to stay active. You just got to stay in there and keep it going, keep on working, and take every opportunity that comes to you. I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of younger fighters, they'll be sitting there saying, oh, I can't get a fight, I can't find an opponent, but they're turning down fights that are coming to them. You just got to accept the opportunities that come to you.
Definitely good advice. And are you ready for some fun questions? They're going to go from average to savage.
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you get the nickname the Savage?
It was actually after my first amateur fight. My coach, Dean Thomas, wrote an email about me to my whole team, and he was talking about how I'm as quiet as a mouse, but when I walk into the cage, I turn into a savage. And then after that fight, everyone was like, "Oh, you see that, a savage?" And I guess it just kind of caught on after that.
All right. What's your favorite song right now?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't really listen to music a lot, honestly.
What? No music?
No.
What about not even like before you train or work out?
No, I feel like a lot of times, it's quiet when you fight. So
Yeah.
I try to train quiet. We usually train in the quiet because it's not like you have music playing while you're fighting.
Yeah. True. All right. What about top 5 favorite fighters?
Top 5 favorite fighters. Oh. John Jones and Amanda Nunes are just definitely up top. They're goats no matter what.
Yeah.
I feel like no one is more skilled. Like, there's no more skilled male. There's no more skilled female. Next, I think I got to throw in Nate Diaz there, too, because I'm just a huge fan of him. Another one of my teammates, I guess, Joanna Unjacek. I get to train with her a lot, and there's no one who really inspires me more by their push. I feel like she's just, like, you train with her and you understand why she's a world champion. She's just a monster. She's just got a drive that never stops, and she has absolutely no quit into her. And then one more, I guess not now, but Conor McGregor in his prime. I was saying, I feel like Conor was with the way he could talk and the way he could fight, there was no one smarter. And obviously, these last few years, he's gotten his whiskey business, everything going. He's got all the money. He doesn't have to fight anymore. But he had that drive, and he had the smart to be one of the tops, one of the greatest.
Yeah, now that you brought him up, do you think he's going to fight again? Either in boxing or MMA?
Honestly, that's a really tough question. I don't feel like he has a reason to, He has so much money. He has so many other ways to make money now. He doesn't really have to fight. And especially to be able to fight at the highest level, like, he's not going to be able to keep up with these guys like Khabib or Dustin who are training every single day. This is their life. This is all they do. They don't have a whiskey company. They don't have something like that, This is, like, all they do is train. They're looking for that belt, and he's not going to be able to compete with those guys unless he spends that time in the gym and really focuses on himself and really starts putting the work in.
Definitely. And last one, what do you like to do when you're not training?
Spend time at the dog park. That's all I really do is I just hang out with my pit bull. He's my best friend. Oh,
yeah, I forgot. I always see that on your stories and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I adopted him when he was about 6 or 7 years old from the Humane Society, and I've had him for about 5 years now, and he's the best.
Do you have any other pets?
No, he's my only one.
Gotcha. All right, well, I appreciate you coming on, and good luck October 18th. And could you let the fans know where they could follow you at?
If you want to go ahead and follow my sponsors, FTWR brand, Fresh Fit Meal Plans, and Creating Better Days CBD, and follow me at Savage_UFC on Twitter and Instagram, and then watch me get my hair raised on October 18th.
There you go. Perfect. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.